Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking, it really does help us, and especially if you can get your friends to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Today, Ed is going to take you through how he uses his Helix, and then we're also going to look at the Helix plugin for Cubase, and Ed's going to see which one, see if there's any difference.
We just want to hear if there is any difference between the hardware floor unit and the plug-in native, or whether they are exactly the same or whether there might be a slight difference through the hardware because they've got hardware components.
Bloody
We'll do a test and find out.
Right then, so that's coming up. Let's get started.
Let's get it going, yeah. Right guys, this is just a little bit of, this might be like talking to the converted and preaching to the converted, because a lot of you guys that own them already know. It's just to show you, to make you aware of the path, setting out how the Helix works. What we have here is coming in, you can set your input here to what you want it to be. Like, as you can see now, you get a choice of multi, which is guitar, aux, variant, or just guitar, or select aux or variax, magnetics, and then mic, and returns one. You can set up, but it comes defaulted at setting as multi, so it will set itself to the input source it detects. There is actually an input, on input, the first thing we have, which is, here's a gate. I have it off, because I never find that I use such high gain sounds that do impact heavy noise in the front end. If I had to, at some point, use a very, very overdriven amp, and I would bring it in. It's easy to bring it in. You can introduce the input to your first, or you don't actually have to introduce it. It's already there. You have it on or off. It comes straight after the input. First thing I have is, which is blanked out at the moment, is this. I can action that and bring it on, and you can see it's a volume pedal, which goes to the volume pedal built in. You can actually reassign that to wah if you like, or whatever. Then I have an assortment of different. I've got a pitch synth on this patch, and then the next thing we come to is an LA2 style compressor. We have a 2 amps section here, where we have the first amp, which is on the top, is an Essex AC, well, it's basically an AC30 amp type. The one on the lower path is a Plexi Marshall, and they both, the signal is taken off before, for the second amp, signal is taken off before the top amp, routed to the second amp, and then brought back in again. And so both amps will run through the cabinet, depending on what you're using. The cabinet is it's a 412 Celestion Greenback 25s, which a lot of you will know. It has a 57 dynamic mic on it. When we come to the end, rather than going straight out of the unit, you'll see it's got a downward arrow which is taking it down to the path below, which then introduces 2 more dynamic, a compressor again, a noise gate, a LA studio compressor. Then we have a distortion unit and industrial fuzz. We have a distortion unit with a compulsive drive. We then have a modulation, which courtesan flanger type. We have a simple delay. We have a reverb room. We have a reverb plate. Then on the bottom pass, we have a modulation, which is scripted mod phase, and we have a pitch synth twin harmony again, and then they both, everything then comes out this bottom path output, which is directed, unless you select differently, it's directed to the 1/4 inch jack outputs, the XLR outputs, the digital and USB outputs, so that the signal will come out of everything unless you dictate one from the other. We have these lovely the foot switches are all lightable. You can change the colours of the rings, which a lot of people do. They'll have distortions maybe on blue and choruses on green, and as a visual prompt when you're looking down it. I keep them all just on red. There's, most of the effects I use in the snapshots. So when I run between the four snapshots, I can run from clean to a little bit of crunch, then to maybe a bridge overdrive, and then maybe a solo on the end. And each of them will have a bit more gain on them, the amp. And it may introduce choruses and delays as you go with that one switch. So, and I find that's great. You have all these lovely readable strips, well, on desks they were called ink strips or noting strips, and we have the snapshots up and down. You have a preset for stomp boxes mode if you want. You've got a lovely tuner in there, and there's a looper, which I must admit I haven't used yet. I'm going to get into that at some point because I've seen a lot of guys use. I know Ed Sheeran has made big use of that, and I must get myself into the looper, But we'll try all that. So that's it, and it's built like a battleship. And as I say, the latest firmware has just been released, which I will do shortly, 3.5, and apparently it's made it a game changer. It's up the ante on this thing. I'm looking forward to using it. I actually use mine. I've actually bought a pack of Celestion IR speaker responses, and I use them a lot. But apparently this new firmware has brought new speaker cab emulations and IR emulations in, and apparently they're high end.
Bloody marvellous.
So we're looking forward to that, guys.
Now these things on the screen there on Plug-in Baby, you've got quite a few. They look like nodes. Are they?
Well, they're just icons of what you've got. So each of these icons, if you click on, say for instance, I come along to the first orange block that you see on the top, then on the lower screen it tells you what that actual block is.
Bloody marvellous.
That block is an amp, and it's an SX AC30 type. And then you've got the drive, bass, cut, treble, presence, channel volume, all that good stuff. And if you go on to the next page, you've got the master volume, then you've got what the speaker does. You've got the sag, the hum, the ripple, the bias, and the bias X. Sometimes I don't touch much, but I do invariably mess around with the bias, because I do know that I'm used to revalve my own amps, and the bias is normally set defaulted at 5, which is a normal thing. The lower you go, the colder the valves work, and gives you a more cleaner, clinical sound. When you got above 5 and start driving up to 10, you're really heating the valves. You're really driving the valves, and a lot of people like that, which gives valve amps that tone. It gives them that lovely warmth, and starts to bring in a natural break up distortion. And you need to find the balance with that, what you like. So that's basically what that is. And the other thing that I do, which I see these guys putting things on this, that, then the next thing. On all my presets, I always go into the speaker page, and I will take the bottom end, the high frequency and the low frequency. I always change them to set it to 80 hertz, and I'll set the high frequency to 4, maybe 4.5 kilohertz. I don't go above that. I see some of them setting at 8 and 10 now, and then they start wondering why they're getting digital fizziness and things like that. I had a long time. I mean, if you look at a speaker and a guitar speaker graph, no matter who the manufacturer is, none of them produce anything above 4.5K. They all tail off. It's not designed to do that, and they're also, they tail off at 80 hertz. They don't go down to 20 hertz and things like that. So why would you leave your high frequency and your low end alone to put out frequencies that in the real world a guitar speaker is incapable of giving?
Well, that's right, yeah.
And I always do that with mine. And if you go into the Celestions or any guitar manufacturer, take a 12-inch speaker, look at it, and look at the info on it and the spec and the frequency, and you'll see They all roll off. Maybe they don't all roll off exactly at 4.5k. Some might be 4, whatever. But they all, none of them go really above 5k. And it's about 4.5k. And they all roll off about 80. That's all you'll get out of it.
Do you have to use all those nodes?
No, most of them are off. See, when that patch...
To a blank node?
Pardon?
Can you go to a blank node and add your own?
Oh yeah, you can take these nodes out. If I don't want... See, there's two of the similar things here, which are... see, for talking sake... Oh, why are you not going down there, boys? Or am I? That's maybe why. Right, if I come down here... Right, these two, for talking sake. There's two distortion units here. There's a distortion industrial fuzz on the first one. But the next one is a compulsive drive distortion. Now the reason they're there is because they're different units. And they impact a different character and sound to the... Now, what may happen is, in this plug, I haven't checked this preset a lot, but these will be set in a stomp box, in the stomp box mode. These will be allocated to different switches.
Switches, yeah.
So at any given time, you hit a switch and it will bring the industrial fuzz in for a certain sound. You still want a distorted sound for the next part or whatever, but not quite just as much or as characteristic as that one. So you can switch that one off and bring the switch in for the second one, which will bring the compulsive drive in, which will give you a different overdrive sound again. That's the reason that they put these things in. There's different compressors. You don't have to have two, but they're there for a reason. Somebody's thought, well, in this one, at different points in the song, I bring that compressor in, but I might want this compressor in at the other. And this is what they do. But you'll see that most of them, if you look at these, you'll see like a white box highlighted around. That means these are active in the chain. The ones that you see with a greyed out square around them, they're inactive at the moment until you press the button. So now, if you watch what I'm doing, if I highlight that first one there, now he is grey out at the moment, but if I highlight him and then press the action button, you can bring him in and out, see? But you can also, if I don't like, he's highlighted at the industrial fuzz, if you don't like him, we could change that by, we've now changed him industrial fuzz, see that? Now we're on a different type of fuzz, we're on a ringer fuzz now, a 50 fuzz. You can run through all the different ones there and change him. Once you've done that, if you press the button, that will then load this in to that.
Absolutely.
And it's not actually a node. What these are called is blocks. They're blocks. And every block will have something in them, from a volume pedal to an amp to a cabinet to any effects trays like reverbs, delays, chorus, whatever. And
absolutely marvellous, Ed. So it's really the ultimate stage guitar processor.
Well, for me it is, but I mean there's others there. There's guys. It depends on your preference. Everyone's got a preference. It's like, we all don't buy the same car.
No.
And we all don't buy the same everything. Same guitars. Well, we'll get preferences. And it's like that with these effects units, and they're all good. I mean, the Kemper is a great unit, although it's getting a little bit aged now because it's been out for a long, long time. Now the Kemper, unlike this has got what they call modelled amplifications and setups in them. The Kemper is a profiler amp, but where you record the impulse response of a rig, and then it's captured in to the, and then that's your preset. You make your own preset, or you download presets that have been done. The Facto make a few units, and they're very, very good, but they're very expensive, but they're very, very good. And it's a similar type thing to the Helix, the Line 6 philosophy. They are modelled on things as opposed to being captured, sound captures. Then you've got the latest kid on the block, which is the DSP Neuro Quad Cortex, which is a hybrid. It does both. it comes like the Facto and like the Line 6 with a load of presets already built in. But it also has the ability to make your own profiles. So if you get your favourite amps and that, and you can profile, you've got the room to profile, you can profile your own guitar setup and save that into the Quad Cortex, and it becomes a preset there for you. And so yeah, there's 4 or 5 high ends that are really, really good. But as I say, reading the reviews of the guys that I quite hold in high regard. You know, you get James Surtees is one of the big, and he's great with the Line 6 products now. And these guys have tested them as soon as they come out, and the first things they were saying is game changer, and apparently they're really, really all impressed now with the new speaker simulations and things that they've put into it now. So I'm looking forward to getting that done.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm an old guy, I'm very slow, I'm still on 3.15. But that's it in a nutshell, guys. So, right, here we go, guys. This is me waffling on about my Helix. Not a deep dive, in-depth review. Plenty of those on YouTube, as something extremely good. But basically, my take on it. I've been an avid Line 6 user since the days of the first pods, right through to Pod XT, then the Pod HD500X, now the Helix. And I just love the product. I'm just going to show you a few patches on this, and this really is, I mean, I like it because the features that are in it, the input and output facilities are, you know, it's like a battle tank. It's just built with everything, and I use it very basically, but hey ho. But we're going to run a few programs here. What I'd like to do is run the same file, and then me playing the same file live, and run it through Heelix Native in maybe 3 or 4 different presets, and play the same thing through the floor unit with the same presets, and let's check and see if there is any audible difference, if we can pick it up, and if the hardware, being hardware as opposed to software solely, let's see if the hardware does actually have an impact on the sound, or if indeed they both sound identical. So let's check this out. So we have a little file here. This is one that was prepared in the oven originally, and then we're going to try this thing here. This is just a little rhythmic thing which is played through the Heelix Native. I'm actually using this on a stock preset, which is 14A in your Helix, and it should be named as a Brit Trem normal channel. And that's the setup, and it's basically, I've only just the amp and cap running, none of the effects, whatever. So it sounded a bit like this. It's bloody marvellous. Right, so that's a Helix. Now, I'd like to try the live playing through the flow unit, and it should hopefully be similar approximation. Please excuse any little discrepancies if it's not exactly right, because these things are played off the top of my head, and I don't really go back and spend the time relearning nonsense that I've already played. But anyway, here we go. Right, so here's the second patch I'm using. I'm using a stock 19B on your Helix, and it's bottle message, which is obviously it's obviously a patch that's been made to approximate a message in the bottle by the police, and we'll try it with that. So here we go, guys.
Bloody marvellous.
Right, there you go.
Okay.
So now we'll hear how it sounds. Same settings on the floor unit, same thing, same guitar, everything. Hopefully it'll sound...
Bloody marvellous.
well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I was just noticing, Ed, on the screen there,
Yeah.
you've got the Helix Native window,
Yes.
and I've noticed on the floor unit that screen looks exactly the same. It's really clever, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is, yeah. I mean, obviously, all the intricate parts for tweaking and modifying are all done on, any Helix user knows, the controls and buttons are all on the Helix itself.
Mm.
Where it slightly differs is the lower part of the screen. Because there's no physical buttons or that, they've had to draw, they've had to create sliders and things, but the function is the same. There is nothing that doesn't have that's in the flow unit.
Yeah.
This could be modelled on a Muse preset, because he had a song called Plug-in Baby, and this is actually called Plug-in Baby, this preset. So it could be a Matt Bellamy type preset, we're assuming. Anyway, you'll find it on your Helix presets at 21D, and it's Plug-in Baby, and I think I should just turn mine up to Plug-in Baby, which is 21D. There we are. So, for you guys...
At home?
Yeah, at home, yeah. Here's another one we're going to chuck in the oven.
Mm.
Some of these might be badly burnt,
Mm.
Anyway, here we go. It goes like this.
Way out, that was it. Way out.
Was that way out?
Way out, Ed. That's if it sounds the same on your, what's it?
So, here we go. We're going to try this one. And again, this is same thing, same preset, 21D, Plug-in Baby, exactly the same, not tweaked, nothing touched, same as in the Native as in the flow unit, and it sounds like this, guys.
Well, to be honest, I sort of found it interesting because, I mean, there's more to it, isn't there, than the old boxes that you used to put together on a piece of wood.
Well, that's right. That's right. Oh, that's right. I mean, there are still a lot of people still prefer that way. I've got to be honest. In a certain scenarios, I still think that is a great way to go.
What, a piece of wood with your boss pedal?
Well, something that's a pedal board, and you've got I mean, I've got a lovely pedal at home that I haven't used, and I'm probably going to sell it. But I've got a radio pedal, well, Midway, a Canadian company radio. You guys all know what it is, and it's called a Tone Bone. I first discovered it in an interview that Steve Lukather was doing, and he had just acquired it at that particular time and introduced it into his setup, and it's an overdrive, a 3 or 4 stage overdrive distortion pedal, and it's an incredible pedal. I mean, it was expensive at the time. I think it cost me about £350 years ago, and I've only used it a few times. It's lying in the cupboard at home somewhere, and I'll either get back to using it or I'll sell it. But it's great. But things like that, people do. I mean, Andy Timmins is a great example. I mean, wonderful guitar player, one of the best guitar players on the planet. And Andy's always got a beautiful, wonderful sound, great touch, great feel, just an incredible musician. And Andy still uses pedal board. He's still got pedals that he likes. In fact, some of his favourite pedals now have been manufactured with his name on it, and they become his signature pedals.
Marvellous.
He's got distortions, choruses and delays and whatever, and they all go into his backline amps, which are tube amps, and they obviously drive the tubes in a nice way to get this nice sound that he likes. But I just find that the Helix is a very convenient way to do it, and as there are more and more to keep levels down, as well, obviously guys like me, we got hearing damage with all the years of 100-watt Marshall stacks behind you and all sorts of stuff, and keeping the noise on stage down is a great thing now, and a lot of them are doing the in-ear monitor things. There's very little amplification on a lot of stages now, modern stages, and a lot of guys now that they've got used to it say they would never go back because they hear a great, almost like a recorded mix in their head. As long as you got a good side monitor mix guy, never mind the front of the house, he takes care of it. But the guy's giving you on, so you need a good monitor mix guy sitting at the side. And if he's good at his job and you're good at conveying what you want, you'll get that mix in your head. And it will be the same every night when you go, and it's a joy to play then.
Right, well, I enjoyed the comparison. I thought that was I was surprised, really, that they sounded so similar. If you thought there was any difference,
yeah, please make a comment. Let us know.
Comment in the what sits below, because
it's nice to be nice.
It's nice to be nice.
You know what I mean?
And anyway, chaps, next time we're going to be Hotel California.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Yeah,
I'll tell you. The download link will be for in the what sits below when we've done it. But that's next time. So we'll see you then.
See you guys.